I think what I've learned more than anything else in the year 2023 is that Hollywood isn't really instinctually creative anymore. It's business minded. The problem is the creatives in the industry, the ones who are supposed to be in charge of telling these fantastic stories to all of us, they don't want to create art bravely. What they want is a safe space. And that might have worked 10 or 20 years ago. I would say closer to 20 years ago when you think about all of the problems that people have with Hollywood as an industry. They were more likely to give them the benefit of the doubt and leeway at a time where they did not feel like they were being talked down to by the creatives, where they didn't feel like these companies were pushing out product without any regard for the fan base. And it's kind of illustrated here in this tweet that went fairly viral from David Ayer. He was the director of The Suicide Squad. Oddly enough, a movie that was ripped apart in a lot of ways, from what I've heard, ruined by studio interference. But this tweet went viral the other day, and he has since deleted it, which actually goes to show that I don't know if he wanted to stand by his words, but he had some interesting replies. So this is what his tweet said. He says, I remember a time before, a time when audiences applauded success, not cheering on failures, when films meant wonder and magic, not a means of attack, when movies were enjoyed, not reverse engineered in hopes of finding ammo to attack. He added, I applaud all my colleagues in the industry. I applaud all the people who work in film. I celebrate those who have the courage to share a piece of themselves with the world. It's funny. On the outset, I'm one of those people where, more than most in this space, I love to give these people the benefit of the doubt. I do, because I do understand that the idea of creating art is an unbelievably difficult thing to finish, to be able to bring to life, from storyboards to writing to filming, principal photography, all the way down to the editing, the post-production. It is a Herculean effort to be able to get it done, and it's a kind of a miracle that anything gets done at all, let alone great art getting done, which you do get once in a blue moon. We saw some of it this year and last year. Look, I reposted a clip of Top Gun Maverick the other day, the final scene in the movie. And I said, this is why I have a hard time completely giving up on Hollywood, because when they get it right, they get it really right. But I think David Ayer is missing the point when he mentions these things. People are not out here they're not looking to be angry. Nobody wants to be angry. Yes, there are those people in the comment section that are always going to have something unbelievably negative to say about your project, no matter what. But if you look at movies that have been successful in the last couple of years, if you look at a Top Gun Maverick, if you look at a Godzilla -1 this year, even the likes of Oppenheimer, which, despite the fact that Barbie was a bigger critical success, or a bigger financial success, the movie Oppenheimer was far less divisive amongst audiences. So what is it that movies like Godzilla -1 and movies like Top Gun Maverick give us that so much of Hollywood is missing these days? Well, I think for a lot of people, what they miss is they miss the magic of either apolitical or just good storytelling. Look, I don't even think you do not have to have an apolitical movie. What you need is to be able to tell great stories that talk about things from both sides of the aisle. And Hollywood has figured out a way to do anything but that in current year. And they're sick of the remakes. They're sick of the rehashes. I had a tweet pulled up the other day of all the sequels that are going to come out in the year 2024, and it was some 16 or 17 sequels, and people can't stand it anymore. They understand that you guys are scared of taking risks, or at least I should say that when people say that Hollywood is dead creatively, I say no. Hollywood is dead as far as risk-taking. They are not willing to put down hundreds of millions of dollars into movies that don't have established IP behind it that will help them get over the hump they need to get to as far as marketing goes. There was an uproar this year. There was a movie that came out this year called The Creator, which I really, really liked. A lot of my friends didn't like it, but it was a beautifully shot movie that I really, really enjoyed. And it cost $80 million to make, and it didn't make a profit because it didn't have any backing behind it as far as built-in IP with name recognition. So they're having a hard time getting over the hump when it comes to doing things like that. Movies like Barbie, which did unbelievably well, did so because one, they finally made a movie for women that talked about things that women want to talk about, but also it had the built-in brand recognition that came from being a toy. Right? So it's not just this. You look at what's going on right now at the box office. Aquaman 2, only $40 million in its opening weekend. It says Aquaman 2 managed to lead over a series of newcomers, including Universal and Illumination's Migration, and the Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell led Anyone But You. Iron Claw came out from Zac Efron. So why is it that even with a list that thin, that movie was only able to make $40 million over a holiday weekend? Why is it that the franchise that made $1 billion in 2018 was not able to make anywhere near that now? Well, I think it's a amalgamation of a lot of different things. I think that the audiences are sick of being pandered to in a lot of ways. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but also I think that people are sick of what feels like corporate drivel being spewed out to them little by little every month, and the amount of movies that are coming out that are not willing to take even the slightest bit of risk makes it very hard for people to grow genuinely attached to something that feels like it has 9,000 different writers with 10,000 different employees on it. So people are sick of seeing things like that. They want to see something new. They want to see something fresh. You look at a movie like Godzilla Minus One, established character, but was not told in a way that was supposed to pander to all audiences. It's a movie that was directed at a specific market. It hit that, and the good word of mouth allowed that film to go well beyond its expectations as far as the money that it made. So Aquaman is losing money. We had Captain Marvel lose tons of money at the box office, both of them billion-dollar movies not that long ago. Well, it's not just that. People are not willing to spend the money anymore. In post-COVID era, as they call it, that's what they call pre-pandemic and post-pandemic era, the idea that you're going to go to a movie theater and spend $18 on a ticket and then another $30 or $40 on food, and that's just if you're, you and one other person, you're paying more than that even. The idea that they're going to go do that for things that feel like they're being shoveled down their throat by some type of committee, it's laughable. So Aquaman is bombing. All these other films are bombing. And so David Ayer wants to know, why is it that people are celebrating failure? It's no longer that I didn't make a good movie, or it's no longer that my movie didn't resonate with audiences. It's that they're the problem. Not me, they're the problem. And I don't care if you understand the culture war, if you understand what's going on within politics. Nobody in the world actually likes to hear somebody pass the buck off to somebody else after making a ton of money. And that goes on top of the things that are going on with the studios, who front them all of this money to make the movies that nobody wants to watch. And then the studios don't even get to hear you take responsibility for your own actions. They say, well, why didn't you go see the movie? Well, what's wrong with you? Why are you the problem? Well, we know that that's not the answer. It is your job as the creator to get you, or to get I, the paying customer, to part with our money. And Hollywood has grown unbelievably bad at figuring out ways to do this. I think pandering, probably more than anything, is what kills it for many of them these days. There was an article that came out not that long ago. If you don't remember, they're talking about rebooting the X-Files. First of all, you can't do that. It's impossible. What you don't understand about the X-Files, at least at the studio level, the corporate level, they don't understand that the X-Files was the picture-perfect idea of a moment in time. You're not going to be able to recapture that same magic. You're not going to be able to get a Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny that are going to work well together and have people buy into it. And that's on top of the fact that this is going to be done by Ryan Coogler, of course, of Black Panther fame, a talented director. But what they're already talking about is they want to redo the show with a diverse cast. That's fine if you're creating new properties. When you're building out new stories, people are all for it. People want to see great movies with unique characters. They don't care what they look like when it's new. When it's something that's already been done and they're remaking it now, people have a problem with it. And it's about time that Hollywood goes and understands this. Look, the people that are willing to spend the money, the ones that will put forth hundreds of dollars on not just your movies, but on your merch, on your new products, they're the ones who care about the story. That's why you cannot just go and start race swapping every character and expect people not to be upset about it. This is what it says. The X-Files will be making another comeback in the near future, this time with Black Panther director Ryan Coogler at the helm. Developed by Disney, it's still unclear whether this new version of the show will be a continuation of the original series or reboot it all the way back in March. Chris Carter mentioned on a podcast that he had been in talks with Coogler about remounting the show with a diverse cast. Guys, they don't learn their lessons. That's what I've come to understand. I think a lot of times they take advantage of the fact that people, they want these things to work. Like the amount of people that came out to Top Gun Maverick proves people want these things to work. The amount of people that made their way back to The Mandalorian, despite the fact that everybody hated the sequel trilogy, the Disney sequel trilogy, despite the fact that everyone hated that trilogy, people want to be forgiving. They want to give you their money. All you have to do is give them what they want. It's not that difficult. You're in a battle with your HR department. I get it. But at some point here, somebody's going to have to put their foot down and say, look, is this about making money or is it about sending a message? Well, if you're, depending on who you talk to, that's a very interesting question. If you're on this side of the culture war, you're going to say it's about sending a message. There's no other explanation for losing that many millions upon millions of dollars, billions of dollars. There's no other explanation other than the money isn't important, the message is what's important. But if you're looking to get people that have not yet fallen victim to caring that much about the culture war, they're going to ask questions. They're going to say, why was something so easy for you to do back in the day that you cannot do anymore? And if you can't give them an honest answer, if you can't say, look, we got writers' rooms with 15 people, we got 15 HR departments, all of which are telling us that we have to meet these initiatives. Oh, if we want an Oscar, we have to meet these diversity quotas. If you're not willing to be honest with yourself that that's costing you money, that is not the customer's problem, and it is not fair of people like David Ayer to put it on the customer and expect them not to have an opinion. And it's funny because I am the person. Look, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I do, each and every time. I'm a sucker for it. I admit it. But other people aren't going to be that forgiving. And if you can't understand that, you're just a bad business person. When he says, I remember a time when audiences applauded success, they still applaud success. Look at what's going on with Godzilla -1. Reacher has done great numbers. It got a third season renewal before the second season even started, and it doubled its audience in just the first 3 episodes from all of its first season. People want to support successful projects that they enjoy. This is not their problem. This is your problem. And until Hollywood can figure that out, there is nothing that is going to change. This will keep happening. And I guess that means that we'll get to make more videos, but Hollywood isn't learning their lesson. If you guys want to see money again, you have to give the people what they want. It's really that simple. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.